We're on.
Okay, I want to show you the benefits of this Utah-made rocket stove. Okay, I know there's some misconceptions on how it's used and how well it's built. The StoveTech, which you've compared it against, isn't built anywhere near as good as this. If you want to send a stove with your scouts up the canyon, and don't worry about whether it's thrown around or thrown in the back of a pickup truck or wherever, you can do that with this stove. Try that with your StoveTech, and it ain't going to last more than about 10 drops and you're done with it. Okay, it's made out of thinner sheet metal. It's got fire brick lined inside. That fire brick will crack and come apart. This here, as you can see, is made out of heavy steel. It's a very well made stove. It's a little bit more money than a StoveTech, but it's well worth the money. And it's made right here in Utah. Let me show you just how well it cooks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a few paper towels I'm going to put down the throat inside of this thing. And then I'm going to take some thin sticks. I'm going to break up and I'm going to put inside on top of that paper towel to get my flame going. Now I could also use dried leaves, twigs, sticks, whatever I got that will burn well. I could stick down the throat of this to get my fire going. I could use a match, I'd use a clicker lighter like this, whatever I got handy to start the fire with. Anyway, I've lit that paper towel. It's going to take just a second to start my sticks on fire here. But as soon as that gets rolling, I'm going to stick some heavier sticks on my feed tray here. And then I'm going to throw my cast iron pan right on top. I'm going to cook some eggs on it. Now there is a thinner aluminum plate that you can put across here first, and then you could put your pan on that if you wanted to. The only reason to use that aluminum plate on top is if the pan I'm using is very thin, or aluminum itself, to where it won't withstand the heat of being put directly on top of the stove. If I've got a good cast iron pan, I put that cast iron pan right on top of my rocket stove and it'll work just fine. Okay? As you can see, my fire is starting to go very well here. So I'm going to put some little bit bigger, longer sticks on the feed tray here. Keep my flame going. Hopefully the neighbors' girls don't cry too loud and you can't hear this. Anyway, you see how I'm putting those in there like that. I'm going to blow some of the leaves out of my cast iron pan. But like I said, I don't have to use that aluminum plate on top. Only if I'm using a lighter duty fry pan do I need to use that. I can put my good cast iron skillet right on top of my flame like that. Okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and crack my eggs right on top of here. Anyway, you see how well that flame comes right up around my pan? Let me lift that off there, just kind of show you how well that flame's coming up through that rocket stove. See how well that is? The steel on this stove is thick enough I could use small pieces of coal with it if I wanted to. It's that well built. As you kind of go over the design while my egg's cooking here, underneath the main feed tray is the oxygen chute. Okay, your oxygen comes up through this bottom part and right up through your wood and right up around, and it helps create a better flame and wraps up around your pan or pot or whatever you're using. Anyway, and then this little outshoot tray here is your feed tray. Another thing I want to show you is this is the charcoal adapter. If I wanted to use charcoal with this stove instead of wood or sticks or something like that, I would drop this adapter right down inside the throat of my stove, and what that does is that keeps this bottom area empty so the air can be drawn right up through there, right up through the side. So I drop that down on my stove, put my charcoal on top and light it, and the air would draw right up through the top of my stove. So that's a charcoal adapter that comes with the stove as well. You can see my eggs are starting to cook here. Shove that pan just a little bit further over on there. Anyway, you can see it's cooking very well. You can see the flame coming up through there. It's doing very well. I'm going to feed a few more sticks inside here. Now the other neat thing about the feed tray is as the ends of my sticks burn off, I can just keep pushing these further in and keep pushing them into my flame and just keep burning the stick till it's all the way gone. I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper on my egg here. See, those eggs are cooking up really nice. Anyway, I wanted to make this video to show you. You kind of alluded that this wasn't as good a stove as the StoveTech. That's nowhere true. This stove is so much better built than the StoveTech is. Like I showed you originally, I threw this thing up in the air several times. I could throw it up in the air all day long and nothing would happen to it. It's that well built. So if you wanted a stove your son could take to scout camp, you didn't want to worry about the abuse, you could throw it in the back of the pickup truck, you could throw it in the storage bin or wherever he's at. It'll get kicked around camp a little bit, just like scouts are kind of prone to abuse things a little bit. This will handle that abuse. It's very heavy steel. It works very well. You can see how well the flame works on this. Anyway, it's a great stove. I'd highly recommend it for anybody that wanted a stove that will withstand a lot of use and abuse. But you can see the eggs are coming right along here. I'm going to turn them over. Anyway, there you go. We just cooked eggs off of some small sticks. It only took about as much fuel to cook a meal with as it does to light a regular fire if I was up camping in the mountains. So you can see this program would work well for anybody, especially for emergency preparedness, whereas fuels and wood and things might be hard to come by. You could use anything flammable in this, you know, whether it's charcoal or fire starter or sticks or dried leaves, twigs, weeds, whatever you got you could use to cook food on. So anyway, I'm going to send this down to you, take a look at it, and you make your judgment. I'd be happy to sell you the StoveTech, but this is a much better built, better stove. And it's also made in the USA, made right here in Utah. Anyway, thanks.